It's showtime. Hey everyone, Michael Pickens here with the We the People of Washington State weekday live stream. And going back to our theme of demystifying uh, different positions in government. Earlier this week, we had Stephen Nielsen on, who ran for Public Lands Commissioner. He came on and talked all about that. And then now we have my brother from another mother, Anthony Welti. We actually share the same exact birthday, like same exact year, day, everything. So it's pretty cool. But Anthony ran for Washington State Insurance Commissioner. So thank you so much for coming on, Anthony.
Hey, I'm happy to be here and happy to be catching up. And I will say, July 24th is the best birthday you could have. You know,
It is. I
you know,
agree.
we're far enough past the summer holidays that we don't have to share it with that, and far enough away from Christmas. We won't got to share it with Christmas like some of those poor saps.
Yeah, I know. We get a celebration in the summer, celebration in the winter. Man, imagine if your birthday was like December 23rd or something. That your
Yeah,
parents were
yeah.
just like, "We're just gonna put all the presents for Christmas."
No, no, we got the cool summer birthday, man. But it's always nice to see you, and I'm really happy to be catching up and having this conversation, pal.
Yeah. So with your campaign running for insurance commissioner here in Washington State, you literally traveled all around the state promoting your campaign, and I think you got the most votes a third party candidate has ever gotten in a statewide race. Is that correct?
At least at that point in time, and
Mhm.
hopefully a couple people beaten me since then. I like to think that it's growing since then, but yeah, it was quite a large effort. A lot of volunteers helped, a lot of encouragement, boots on the ground, and then folks just donating from afar, and we learned a lot, had a lot of fun, but most importantly, we got to spread the message of liberty to people that just hadn't heard it in a long,
Yeah.
long time, and people that were longing for it. And also we got to educate them on an important position in state government that, frankly, most people had no idea even existed.
Yeah. So yesterday, I was talking to Scott Jewett. He was running for governor in Florida, and his main issue is reducing the cost of homeowners insurance. Um, the Office of Insurance Commissioner, what role do they play in the pricing and the market and all of that stuff?
Well, that's the thing is they play every role. Nothing, no insurance policy, whether it be home or commercial or life insurance, nothing gets approved without the state insurance commissioner literally looking at the policies and approving the rates.
Mhm.
And typically, that can be a lengthy process of them, either saying yay or nay to what an insurance company can or cannot charge. And a lot of times they do actually kind of get in the way of some of the prices going up. But inherently, what that does by saying no, you can't raise your rates to XYZ amount. What it does is it means insurance carriers leave the state because they can't be profitable. So it's kind of this catch 22 of like sometimes at face value, you might think that they're doing the consumer a favor by, making sure some random insurance company doesn't blow their rates out of the water. But
Mhm.
ultimately, those other companies, they leave the state and it just leaves a smaller number of options to choose from, which is something that Florida, states like Florida, Washington, and California have been seeing for years. Back when I was running in 2020, and frankly, it's gotten worse since then. And I stay a little bit in tune. I'm a little removed from politics these days,
Mhm.
but I stay in tune to the insurance business, and Florida is definitely hurting there for homeowners insurance. And part of it's their own fault, part of it's the weather, and trying to build high rises in, you know, beachfront properties is not really easily insurable risk these days.
Sure. Yeah. So does the Office of Insurance Commissioner, can they decide which companies can even operate in the state?
Yeah, yeah, you can't sell insurance in any state unless the state insurance commissioner approves you. And that could be from a big corporate level or even just down to the simple idea of instituting a new product, right? Let's say a Farmers or an Allstate or a Geico wants to come out with a new type of homeowners insurance policy or something that's structured a little bit different, a little bit more
Mhm.
consumer friendly. It can take years to just get the state insurance commissioners to approve those products.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
we all know they move like molasses when it gets into bureaucracy, and frankly, I feel like it's on purpose more often than not.
Yeah. So basically, the state insurance commissioner regulates insurance, but also because it's bureaucracy, they probably slow it down, make it more expensive, add regulations to it that actually hurt the consumer.
Yeah, definitely. And like any well-meaning bureaucrat, they all like to think they're doing what's best for the people, right? But the truth is, when it comes to something as specialized as insurance, most people that work in these bureaucratic departments, and they're like in the state of Washington, when I ran, I think there was 240 employees in that department. It had its own building in the state of Washington. Um, Almost none of them had any background in insurance, so they were glorified paper pushers with executive level control over what is or isn't allowed, with no real bearing on what the average person needs or wants, or even more so how insurance is supposed to work or how it could work for those insurance companies that wanted to think outside the box. I think insurance gets a bad rap for a lot of good reasons, but the truth behold is they want to provide a product that people want to buy. They need people to buy it so that they can make a profit, right? That's capitalism 101. But then the bureaucracy gets in the way and slows the process down. So these companies can't offer better products to people. And it just gets worse and worse and worse. And that's not to give the insurance companies a break. They definitely have some culpability to what's
Mhm.
going on, especially when you see things like mandatory car insurance policies or mandatory health insurance laws,
Yeah.
which thankfully some of that stuff went away, at least for the time being. But yeah, it definitely the regulatory control in insurance is really second to none. Insurance is by default a financial vehicle, and as much as capitalism can get a bad rap, financial products are the most heavily regulated industry in the country.
Mhm.
So it's not necessarily the insurance companies that are doing all the bad here. It's pages and pages and books upon books worth of regulations that are making it impossible to get good insurance, regardless of how bad the insurance companies might actually be. Even
Yeah. Yeah. I remember when I was looking for insurance, we have three properties and we pay about $950 a month currently for insurance on these properties. And it's gone up from like 600 to 700 to 800. It just keeps going up and up and up.
yeah,
And there's only, so many companies that I can get quotes from
yeah, and
because
becoming more and more reduced by year. In some states, it's absolutely by effort put in by the state insurance commissioners. Now, slightly different product, but like in the state of Washington, they were specifically running out of this running. How should I say this? There's co-op health insurance plans, right? That works. Uh, uh, it works like membership shares, right? Where people buy into it and we all share in costs, right? The way insurance was originally designed to be nonprofit based, even. But because they don't operate as traditional insurance, the state insurance commissioners were essentially suing them for doing business without an insurance license. And then instead of
Mhm.
fighting to be like, no, we're not insurance, we're a co op, um, these insurance providers or these co ops would just leave the state
Yeah, they don't
entirely.
want to mess with it. They don't want to deal with the regulations coming in. It's like, no, 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 we're not insurance. We are a co-op. We're here
Yep.
as a group of people to share costs. We're not insurance, but the government.
Yeah, and then that devolved into other types of products as well. This was a hot topic back in 2020 and 2019 in state of Washington was gun owners insurance, liability insurance essentially in case you ever did have to discharge your firearm in a self-defense situation. There's a company called USAA. They're a nationally recognized corporation doing great things. But state of Washington banned them from doing business back in 2019, 2020. And instead of fighting it, they just left the state, right? And you would think that the left would want gun owners to have liability insurance, while at the same time they're actually banning it. So it's this conundrum that they're putting themselves into.
Yeah, and that's crazy because, I carry a firearm on me all the time. I've never had to use it. I've never pulled it out on anyone. I hope I never have to use it or pull it out on anyone. But if it comes down to it, it's only going to be in self defense or defense of friends, family, random people in a grocery store, right? And I shouldn't, I'm not going to be liable anyways. What would that liability insurance even cover? If you accidentally shoot yourself in the foot? Is that like,
Well, yeah, and see, and that was a point that I made when talking to the state insurance commissioner's office. Insurance doesn't cover intentional acts. If you burn your house down, you arson your own
yeah,
house, your insurance is going to say no, claim denied, right? You run
yeah,
your car into a brick wall on purpose, they're going to deny it. If you intentionally kill somebody with your gun, the insurance isn't going to cover it, right?
no,
So this was more to help with legal liability, and really I believe what it was the state of Washington didn't want gun owners to have the financial assistance to defend themselves in court, which I think is tragic because everybody deserves proper legal representation. This is the
yeah.
the great country of America, right, where you're innocent till proven guilty, and we're all entitled to a defense. But not You basically have to be rich to defend yourself in a gun trial anymore because you're not allowed to have insurance to protect yourself.
Interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah, that was a big one in 2020, and a lot of gun owners were really frustrated about it. I talked to a lot of people. I said it was something that I'd reinstate on day one because it was just an executive order that banned it.
Yep.
They didn't pass a law that said that you couldn't have it. They just used an executive order to scare the companies out of the state of Washington, which is the same thing that they did with the co-op insurance plans. And the sad thing is a lot of people were on those plans. Not a single one of the consumers had ever filed a complaint. I know this because I did public records request at the time. Nobody ever complained about those companies. Not one single complaint was ever publicly filed. So it was a fight picked by the state insurance commissioner simply to achieve an agenda against a segment of people that he didn't like.
That's crazy. Well, he must not like anyone because, they're increasing rates on health insurance and homeowners insurance and car insurance, across the board.
Well, and in the news this week and last week, they've been talking about the Affordable Care Act tax subsidies going away, and I'm on record way back in 2016 saying that those are just free tax credits to the insurance companies. You're just giving
Yeah.
free money to the insurance companies, and they were always going to raise their rates, and they are always still going to continue to raise their rates with or without those subsidies. Um,
Yeah. And
and
they
it's
just
only
raise their
gotten
rates
worse.
faster because of the subsidies, right? They just raise their rates even more. Just like college, right? As soon as all this government funding for college happens, all these colleges increases their tuition.
Yeah,
Similar
it's
situation.
unfortunate. It's unfortunate, and to this day, the Republicans sadly are not much better when it comes to. Sorry, my son's handing me my charger here because it's been a while since I've done a podcast. I forgot to plug in before
Yeah,
I
no
sat
worries.
down.
All good.
I'm like waving to him. Give me my charger. Give me my charger. Um, uh, so to this day, though, the Republicans haven't come up with a better plan for healthcare. Rand Paul came out this week and said, "I want people to be able to buy it from Costco and stuff," and that's a great solution. I mean, that's like entry level, though. That's like the most bare
Yeah.
bones, and it's a way to allow people to buy group insurance, which buying as a group does give you better buying power, which is phenomenal. We should be able to
Yeah.
do that. But when it comes to things like healthcare and health insurance, it, if the cost of care itself doesn't go down, the health insurance also isn't ever going to go down, even if you do have a little bit better negotiating power. We needed to open up the market entirely. It
Yeah.
shouldn't be a state by state thing. We should be able to buy insurance across state lines. And I even talked about the idea of being able to buy across national lines. If we can order a TV from Best Buy that was actually made in Japan, right? Or we
Yeah.
can buy a car whose engine was made in Mexico. Why can't we buy a financial product that's based in another country if we want to? Right?
Hmm.
Some people want to buy American, and by all means, I support that. I don't necessarily love the American insurance companies, though. right? So I
Yeah.
might rather buy something from, you know, the UK or wherever, right?
Yeah.
And and the nice thing is, if we had done that, if we allowed a true open market, the first thing that happens is new insurance policies come to market, right? They're going to come and be like, oh, people are unhappy that they're paying $1,000 a month for terrible health insurance. Well, let me
Yeah.
charge you $500 a month for terrible health insurance. Even if it's terrible, at least it's half the cost,
Yeah.
And there's so many easy solutions. We can stop taxing it. In the state of Washington, it's about, well, at the time, and my numbers are probably outdated, it's roughly $1 billion a year in taxes that Washingtonians pay on all forms of insurance, right? And a lot of those are mandated, right? You have to have those things, and they're taxing you on top of it, right? And it just adds up and adds up and adds up.
Yeah, so we don't have health insurance, right? We go to a naturopathic doctor that's also integrative medicine, so she can prescribe. The doctors there can prescribe, actual pharmaceuticals if need be, or they could prescribe, herbal medicines and other things like that. But it's $175 an appointment, and the only person of our family that really uses it is our youngest daughter because she needs an inhaler. And it's really easy. Once a year, 175 bucks, she can get a checkup and get the prescription and get it filled at Costco. But I haven't been to the doctor in years. you know
Well, and talk about prescriptions for a second. If we want the cost of health insurance to go down, maybe stop forcing us to go to a doctor to get an inhaler
yeah.
renewal, right? Like I understand that it's good to go get a doctor's opinion, right? It's good to do that. It's wise to get a second opinion, um, but it shouldn't be mandated, and it shouldn't necessarily be something you have to do every single year to
It
get a new
is. Yeah, it's
prescription.
mandated. Yep.
Um, I use an inhaler occasionally as well, and my prescriptions are outdated now, but I also don't have health insurance by choice.
Yep.
Um, and at some point I will have to go get an updated version, and it's gonna, my $80 inhaler, which is too expensive there as well, right? But
Yep.
my $80 inhaler is gonna cost me 125 to go get a doctor's note to say, oh yeah, he has trouble breathing. When I can wake up in the middle of the night and be like, I have a cold, my chest is tight, it's hard for me to breathe, right? And
Yeah.
in some cases that could be life threatening. Like if I need an inhaler in an instant, like, oh my gosh, I can't find one, my prescription's out of date, I can't just go to Publix or Safeway or wherever and get one, over the counter without a doctor's note, which could end up landing me in the emergency care, which
Yep.
again is more expensive.
Oh yeah.
So it's
It'll
all
cost
these
you a
compounding
$1,000.
factors. Yeah.
Yeah,
So many.
the options just aren't being talked about. You have to search
th-
for them.
No, they're really not, and that was something that frustrates me about government. Right? Is they can pass thousand-page bills. They don't know anything that's inside of them, and what is inside of them doesn't actually do any of us any good. Right? But then, if you have ideas like mine that are reasonable, right, as some would
Yeah.
call it common sense, even, um, the media tunes you out. Big pharma is not donating to my campaign. The big insurance industry. I didn't take a dime of money from insurance companies when I ran for office, and I was an ex-insurance agent. Actually, I shouldn't say ex. I still am. I sell life insurance. Um, I didn't even take any money from my friends in the industry because I didn't feel it was right.
Mhm.
I felt like it was a conflict of interest, even if it wasn't legal. But on the flip side, I didn't get any goodwill from from the media for doing that, and trying to be above board, So somebody else wins, and then you're stuck with rising premiums again the next cycle, and
Yeah.
things continue to get worse. So it's unfortunate, but one of the important things is, and when I ran for office, I believed I had an outside shot of winning. I wasn't delusional in that way. I saw a path to victory. Um, but I also knew that it was going to be an uphill battle. So when chose to run for this position, my main goal was to educate the public, not just about how we could fix insurance, but what controls it. Um, we can't change the world if we're not an educated populace,
Yep.
right? We can be an angry populace, right? That's why we get, mega this or TDS that. Um,
Yeah. Yep. So when you ran, you had the best ideas of all of the candidates, right? You had the best ideas, but like your opponents, obviously one had a D next to their name, another one had an R next to their name, and they just had that automatic vote because people just weren't paying attention.
that's a that was a huge issue, and I still get messages this to this day. What's it? 5 years later, people tell me, "I can't believe you didn't win that election. The others that were up there were clowns." And the automatic R or D vote down ballot is a real thing, right? People vote for
Yep.
president or governor, and then after that, they kind of just vote for whatever letter or color is next to their name.
Yeah.
Um, and that was really obvious in my campaign because nobody knew what they were voting for. I had
If they
people.
listened, if they listened to the Republican candidate who claimed to channel Napoleon Bonaparte and all these other dead people, and just the guy was way out in La La Land.
Yeah, he has some mental health concerns that are real, and I hope he's getting the treatment that he needs. Um, I refused to play politics and to punch down at him, but the unfortunate thing is people voted for him without knowing who he was,
Yep.
and that's their fault. They you reap what you sow. I remember, and this isn't to this is not because I'm a Kevin Spacey fan. He's got plenty of bad history, but I remember a Kevin Spacey quote on the red carpet years ago. He said, "Americans are going to get what they deserve." Right? You vote for what you deserve,
Hmm.
and I think culturally speaking, we deserve what's happening right now, and it's going to take some pain and suffering to really change people's hearts and minds. That's
Unfortunately.
why things like war and regime change and stuff, you can't fight other people's wars for them. They have to want to fight it for themselves. They want to have to change how things
Yeah.
work, and it's no different with things like insurance. People have to become educated, have to see the proper way to do things, and until then, you're going to get the outcome that you asked for.
Yep. Well,
Sadly, awesome people like you and I, we pay the price.
yeah, yeah, it's unfortunate, but we did the research and found a doctor in Oregon. We have to drive over there, but it's a naturopathic doctor, and it's costing $175 an appointment, which really isn't that bad when you compare it to $1,000 a month for a family of four or whatever. And then dental, we found a place in Longview. It's like $125 an appointment for a teeth cleaning, and we don't have to pay dental insurance. You pay cash for what you need.
There's absolutely a way to make insurance better. I sold or health insurance specifically. I was a big fan of like an a la carte setup, right? When you buy
Yeah.
car insurance, for example, you get to decide, do I want high coverage or low coverage? Do I want comprehensive and collision, or do I just want liability? And what health insurance has turned into is like like a warranty plan that covers everything, which
Yeah.
truly means it doesn't cover anything, right? Which I think everybody that has health insurance knows it doesn't cover crap, and what it does cover is expensive. But if you allowed people to buy health insurance and to pick X, Y, and Z for what they needed, they would allow people to voluntarily enter into a risk pool of people with similar concerns, right?
Mhm.
For example, a 70-year-old woman or husband and wife shouldn't have to be paying for pregnancy coverage if they don't want
Correct.
to. If they want to, by all means, but they shouldn't have to. If I don't want my policy to cover Viagra, um,
Hmm.
which then I
You
shouldn't
don't
have
need
to have
yet.
a yet, right? Let's knock on wood here. See, pun intended. Uh, Michael, it's been too long since we hung out, buddy. But the point is like if we were allowed to pick and choose more, we'd have more personalized service, right?
Yeah.
I can do that with my cereal at the grocery store. I can do it with my cable provider or my streaming devices,
Hmm.
right? Why not health insurance? And the nice thing is about the way I think libertarians approach it, or people that truly support free market capitalism, if you take away the other labels, is it allows everybody to get what they want. right?
Yep.
I was a big proponent of like if people like I don't want single payer healthcare, but I understand that some people do. And I don't like the idea of me telling you you can't have what you want. I just don't like the idea of you telling me that I can't have what I want and I have to have what you
Correct.
want. And there should be a way to compromise without affecting each other's lives.
Yep. Yeah. So, there used to be an option for catastrophic care, right? You get in a car accident, you fall down off a ladder, you break your leg, you're covered. Catastrophic care. These situations that happen, not based on your diet, right? Not based on your lifestyle, but this is just based on crazy things happening and you end up in the hospital.
Yeah, and now it's everything's mandated that it is covered.
Yep.
And the only way to keep the monthly prices down are to have extraordinarily high deductibles that people can't meet and are so high that you might as well not have the coverage in the first place. And it's
Yep.
unfortunate because here's the thing too. The doctors hate it, right? The doctors have to deal with it. They know that like, hey, this person needs X, Y, and Z, and we need to take care of it, and this is the treatment that they need. But then they
Have to
have
get
to send it
approval.
through to the approval and stuff, and then the insurance companies deny it because it either isn't filed quite right because God knows filing anything like taxes or insurance paperwork, it takes a basically a degree to even know how to do it correctly anymore. It just makes it nearly impossible to work with, and there's a reason why the medical profession is seeing droves of people leaving the industry because they're stressed out. They can't see enough patients themselves to even turn a profit in a small family medical practice anymore. So that's why there's less and less doulas and midwives out there. There's less chiropractors and acupuncturists out there, and there's a lot more conglomerates like Kaiser Permanente and Everett Clinics of the world. And it's because they can absorb those giant hits. They have the infrastructure to kind of manage through it and to wade through it. And ultimately, it still is more expensive, and we're out choices, right? We're out
Yeah.
flexibility. And that, that's all health insurance, but the other insurance policies are no different. The if you want to come out with a new car insurance policy, the insurance regulators, they'll take years to tell you you can do it. By then, they're already onto the next new product, that
Yeah.
people are going to like, and it's just an ungodly amount of rate increases and paperwork and dissatisfaction by pretty much everybody. If you know anybody that's happy with their insurance, please let me know because I might go buy whatever they have because I haven't found anything worth paying for in a long time.
Yeah, so we got a couple comments. Alan says, I run with no health insurance, had a medical procedure done at Alan Moore, got charged 32,000 is what they were trying to charge his insurance. However, he told them that he had no insurance and they dropped it down to $12,000, right,
Yep.
for
And there's
self-pay.
contracts. If they find out you have insurance, their contracts with those insurance providers state that they have to submit it to insurance. So let's say I have Premier Blue Cross, but I know the cash price is less. If they find out, they have to bill Primera the higher rate,
Yeah.
which is unfortunate, and it puts you in a situation where you kind of have to lie, which is dishonest. And some people aren't willing to do that, and I don't blame them for not wanting to lie, right, to get the best price. But that's one of the reasons why we go cash only as well. I'm a big fan of direct primary care, co-op insurance plans of that nature, and there are solutions out there. um, I personally think if you're going to pay cash, you should still probably have something supplemental to go with it. I like to call it bankruptcy insurance more than anything, though, because
Mhm.
that's really all we're trying to do. We all know that something bad can happen and we might have some big bills. We're just trying to limit the hurt, right? So that we don't have to sell our house, right? Or, sell a
Yeah.
kidney to pay for the dang thing at the end of the day.
Yeah, so we've had to take Amelia to the hospital long time ago, because she couldn't breathe, right? And the bill ended up being like, $13,000 for a night or something like that. And we didn't have insurance, and we ended up negotiating it down to like $300 or some ridiculously low number, you know, where they were trying to charge like a high number, and it's like, sorry, can't pay that. And they just like, all right, well, here, can you pay this? What can you pay? Like, you know,
Yeah, most of these companies are highly profitable, so they can do that. and it's also cheaper for them just to do it that way than to send it to collections and to get 50% on the dollar, and it might not ever see the money in the first place. Um, it's a big shell game. It
Yeah.
truly is. And I work in the insurance industry still to this day. I'm a life insurance agent. Part of the reason why I do that now, I used to do home and auto and all that kind of stuff. I like focusing on life insurance now because it's at least it's life and death, and I know that it's literally helping like spouses who just got widowed and oftentimes
Yeah.
children. So I feel like that's good because like if I get in a car wreck or I get hurt, like all that money just goes to a doctor or a contractor stuff. At least with life insurance, that money going to somebody's bank account that actually needs it. But in part, the reason why I still sell insurance is because I want to help people navigate this really disgusting um, arena that
Yeah.
is insurance as a whole. And that doesn't mean that all insurance is a scam or nobody should ever have insurance. I don't abide by that mentality. The truth is a lot of times you're gonna wish you had some type of financial help, right? And in a voluntary society, we'd have all kinds of co-ops and you know family HOA type things where we're all helping
Yeah.
one another and stuff. But the reality is that society doesn't exist too much anymore, right? Most of the time we don't know our neighbors. So I see a need for insurance and financial assistance. It's just we got to find something in the middle, right? That allows everybody to flourish. And I have no problem with insurance companies getting rich, right? If they have a good product, they should get rich. Um, but they shouldn't do it through regulatory restraints, kicking other companies out. And it happens when you get people running these departments that don't have a clue how anything works, and they don't have a basis in appreciation for freedom and liberty is really what it
Yeah.
comes down to. They think that, well, this stuff is broken, so we're just going to have to regulate it even harder, right? Regulate me harder, daddy. And it's proven for decades and decades and decades that it doesn't matter what new law passes, your rates are going to go up. And I would
Yep.
challenge anybody to find me a rate that has gone down in any state in the country on any type of life insurance over the last 5 years. You might see a rate reduction every couple of years for a few months, right? Maybe a ticket drops off or something, but you're still going up the next year for some other reason that's not your fault.
Yeah. Yeah. It's too bad. So the moral of the story is that the Office of Insurance Commissioner has way too much power.
Way too much power, and you have an option to change that, right? The Office of Insurance Commissioner in most states, now this is not all, right? But in many of the states, it's an executive level position that doesn't actually answer to the governor, right?
Mm,
They're not a part of the legislative body, right? It's not one person passing a bunch of votes, right? You don't have to, get your representative on board to write a bill, get it co-sponsored, and get 51% of you know, the House of Representatives to
legislator.
pass it for you, right? You could get one person in that Office of Insurance Commissioner says, you know what, you're right. One, I have the authority to do this, and two, it makes things better, and let's
Yeah.
just do it. But in Washington, that's not what happened. I told everybody that wasn't what's going to happen. Lo and behold, it didn't happen, and here I am still, now in a different state where we have our own set of problems. But I got to pick and choose what problems I live under now.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, Anthony, how can people find you if they're interested in life insurance? What do you have a website?
Yeah, well, and I always tell people this, even though I don't sell other forms of insurance anymore, and I am not in politics anymore. I have no problem taking time out of my day to help people. It makes me feel good to serve people,
Yeah.
selfishly. So if you guys ever have a question about any type of a claim or how can I get my car insurance lower, you can reach out to me on Facebook, Anthony Welti. If you're interested in life insurance, peaceinsurancegroup.com. I've been in the business for a long, long time. I've helped a lot of people, and unfortunately, I've had to deliver some life insurance checks over the years. But that means that spouses and children aren't left aren't left hanging when something bad happens. So if you need life insurance, hit me up, peaceinsurancegroup.com, or you just find me on Facebook, Anthony Welty, and I'm happy to be a resource for you, free of charge. You can even just call and vent about insurance companies, and I'll sit here and agree with most of what you say.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Anthony. I really appreciate your time.
Thanks for spreading the awareness about this. It's been a few years since I've talked about it, but the problems haven't gotten any better. So just
Nope.
everybody keep batting down the doors and kicking the doors in where you can to try to make things better.
Absolutely. And for those of you watching, if you appreciate what we're doing, you can head to WTPWA.com and donate $5, $10. We're running $5 a day on Facebook ads right now, and I think we're over 750 likes in just the past couple of months. So every little bit helps. We are going to be promoting these videos and doing more informational pieces to educate people on what we all can do at the local level, at the state level, to make our society better, more free, more prosperous. So thank you all very much.